Hi, I'm Alex Archbold. I've been buying and selling antiques since I was a kid. Over the years, generations of our family have gotten involved in the business, and I'll search just about anywhere I can to find hidden treasures both big and small. I never know what I'll turn up next. It's about exploring new places, seeing new sights, and having fun. And even though sometimes I get over my head, we try and make things a little better along the way. This is Curiosity. Well, that's something you don't see on the road every day. Usually you see him in farmers' fields and stuff, but he's got that one going. It's actually pretty quiet. Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode. I am at the History Road Car Show in Wetaskawin, Alberta, the Reynolds Museum. And if you remember from several years ago, I have a little bit of a relationship with the museum, as the Royal Tour car, which we got from Vern, ended up here. My old speedboat, which I found in a barn and pulled out, that ended up here, and a Triumph motorcycle. So we've helped deliver some vehicles to the museum over the year, but today it's all about the car show. Now I've brought down this. It's a 1962 Alfa Romeo Sprint Speciale. Probably one of my favorite cars that I have. It's just fantastic. It's fun. It's quick enough. But we're going to do a little wander around and see what else has showed up at the show today. So come with me, tour the cars, and let's see the sights and sounds of the History Road Car Show. Let's go. There are some polar opposites pulling in here. You've got the MGA, you got the guy in his scooter, and you got a monster truck. You never know what's going to turn up at a show. Where I was situated, which is right there, right behind me is the main road in, and it's been kind of like a parade all morning, the last 2 hours of cars pulling in as car clubs show up. And I'm parked in sort of the generic area, which is 1960s. I wasn't affiliated with the car club this go around, but the car clubs are all over on that side. So we're gonna wander down. Where should I start? I guess let's go back in time. Over at the front area here is where they have the earlier cars, the brass era cars, and then it works around. So my goal today is to find what I think are the coolest cars to show you, and also the weirdest cars to show you. But let's see if there's something spectacular to show today, and we'll start off with the brass cars. And here are the cars that kind of started the whole thing. You've got a beautiful early brass era Ford. Of course, Ford changing automotive history with the assembly line. Around the same time that Ford came out, and before they kind of dominated, you'd have lots of other different makers. Of course, they had the big companies like Dodge, but you could also get a car like this, which is called an Everett, and also made in Detroit. Some of these car companies just didn't last, didn't survive, but they would have been contemporaries of the Ford. And they really are like a horseless carriage. I mean, you look, it's basically like a big wagon wheel, thin wheels, and these are a little bit better for going through dirt and mud, and open carriage. I think you could have got side covers. You can see the sort of clips here where you'd clip a side cover onto it so you can make it sort of an all-weather cover. But still, you'd be freezing your butt off in Canada riding around in one of these. Early tires were like this. The balloon tires were actually white. The rubber was white. In its natural form, that's what color tires would be if they weren't dyed and changed to black. In fact, when you see white walls on a car, sometimes it's just basically been shaved back to its white core again. They added the black and the compounds to make it more sturdy and more durable. But look, there's not even treads on these tires. Can you imagine what that would be like to drive around on ice or slippery surface? Just smooth white rubber tires. And I guess it didn't take long before they started putting treads on it, because they realized, hey, that guy's slipping around and we're not. But that sure looks great with the white tires. I wonder how far this fella came in today. And moving out of the way for the old Meteor. Okay, let's follow this down and see what we have down at the end there. I do want to check out the old bus that pulled in. Now here is a knockout little car. You look at this, it's a 56 Porsche Speedster. It is a 356A replica, but what's caught my attention is those two little letters right there, EV. This is an electric. So Steve, why don't you tell me about the build?
So I wanted to build a car during COVID, and the wife said, okay. And I told her what I wanted to do, and she's like, has that been done? And I said, yeah, in California they've done a couple of them. And so I took a 69 Volkswagen Beetle Pan and ordered a body mod kit that was a 356 Speedster, and I built from the ground up, made it all electric with the intention from the beginning.
So what do we have up front here?
So this is inside this, we'll call it the battery coffin here. This is one of the battery boxes that has 3 Tesla Model S batteries in it. So in a regular Model S, I think there's 10 or 12 batteries, depending on if it's a long range or not.
Yep.
And it has, this has basically half of a Tesla Model S pack in it. So there's 3 here, and there's 2 at the back, and the car is pretty much balanced 50-50 where your butt sits in the seat. So if you put a jack on either side, lift the car up, it will teeter like perfectly balanced, which is what you kind of want in a little peppy little sports car.
And so half the batteries of a normal Tesla, but then this is also half the size of a normal Tesla. So you're probably, what's your range on it?
It's not as great as you would think. It's about between 160 and 150 kilometers, depending on how I drive it. So I drive it a little hard because it's a sports car.
Oh yeah. So
it goes pretty good. I'm probably at my max range coming out to the show from the way north side of Edmonton. I would be able to make it back, but I'm going to charge before I head home just to be safe.
And where do you charge? Where's the charging port on this?
That's behind the license plate. My dad had a Cadillac, and the Cadillac had a flip-down license plate.
Oh, so you thought
it's the coolest thing having a flip-down license plate, so I hit it back there.
Oh, look at that. And that's like the Tesla kind of style.
This is the standard right now, but they're moving to Tesla. And I'll just show you, I got a little adapter here.
I like that you made it look like you've got an engine going on back here.
Yeah, the little homage to the Weber car thing. So yeah, so this would be an adapter. So if I went to a charge port, like that, plug that in, and if I was using a Tesla,
you could just plug that right in.
That goes into like a hotel one, not a supercharger. It can't supercharge unless you have a 200-volt battery pack. So this only has a 124.5-volt battery pack.
I'm just, the quality of work that you did. The paint. You did the paint.
Yep, did the paint. Did all the woodworking.
You did the woodwork on it, which
I didn't do the seats. I redid the door cards. I had the door cards done, but then they didn't turn out exactly as I wanted them, so I restitched them all.
You restitched them?
Yeah.
And so what do you do for a living? Is it anything to do with cars?
No, I'm a computer guy. I do computer things for a company called TELUS.
Well, have you thought that maybe you're missing your calling? I mean, look how beautiful this car is you've created, but maybe you're just really, really good at computers. Oh, look, you've got a screen.
Yeah, so it hides away.
Wait, hang on. Let's see that again.
Yeah,
So when you turn the car on.
So when the cops come up, you just hit the button.
Yeah.
And there's his. That's all your information that you need.
So.
And are the speedometers digital?
They are. Yeah,
Are they functional?
They're functional. Yeah, everything functions except for the temperature and fuel gauge. That's a winter project.
Right.
But they had to function to pass inspection. So I just have a little resistor in there making them work right now. But I'm going to make the gas tank work, and the temperature will give the temperature.
The quote-unquote gas tank.
Yeah, the range meter.
The range meter.
Yeah, and I have a digital range meter down here, kind of just hidden underneath. And this is the choke, where it would have been the choke on the original car. That's volume control.
Okay.
Hard to see with the sun on the screen, but
yeah, I see you've got the Porsche graphic on it. Gosh, you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and then if I get tired of being here, I can just use my time travel skills and do
Oh,
let's see.
You're back to the graphics. There you go.
There we go.
1955. This car would be a year old if it were the real thing.
Yeah, they would. If somebody knew that they only had 2 Speedos in 55, they would instead of 3. Then, yeah, it's supposed to be a replica of a 56.
Yeah, no, I think you did. What I love is that you've got the technology, but when you close that hood, you would never know that this is an electric vehicle. Other than, I mean, you're the only one who would know, really. Just the little cues of the drop-down panel. You did such a tasteful job of it. You should be very proud of the work you did.
Thank you.
Now everybody's going to want you to build one for them, too.
Yeah, no, wife said only one.
Only one.
Yeah, so sign this one and drive it till I can't drive anymore.
Well, it's fantastic. This is a 1955 Canadian-made GMC military truck. Came off the base. This gentleman who's standing here, Wayne, is the one who built it. Well, put a new engine in it, transfer case, got it going. 6x6. So I was asking whether it was 4x4. He said no, it's actually 6x6, and he drives it all over the place, back roads, off road. This amazing setup. In the back, what he's done is he's taken sort of the flat deck there and built a living space or camping space in the back. So it's all self-contained. What a fantastic thing you've put together here. It looks great. There's a few vehicles here that look like they're straight out of Mad Max. The other one being that old bus that pulled through a little while ago. Nice old Studebaker. And power to pull a camper. There's the whole setup going on here. One of 2,200 built, and they swapped it with the Corvette engine. LS1 swap in that. So yeah, he's got power to pull a camper, no problem. You might be burning rubber while pulling that camper. Now, did anybody ever have one of those Barbie campers when they were a kid? If you did, it was based on this. This is the real deal. It's a big 74 GMC motorhome, and it does have the dual axles on the back. And this is the Barbie motorhome. This is it. This is the one. And so if you ever wanted to feel like you were a Barbie character, I guess you don't have to go in through the giant hole in the roof. You could actually use the door on it. But how cool, you know, to see these old campers up and on the road, and they've got the music going inside. Love to see people having fun with their vehicles. Okay, now this is definitely different. You might notice that it's got the front end of a larger truck, but that is a locomotive. It's got a locomotive for the back end, like from a train or a big old steam tractor. I don't know where they found this big boiler, but they've even left the boiler door on the end. You use that as a big old pizza oven if you wanted to. Is this yours? No? Okay, this fellow walking by was taking a picture. I didn't know if it was his, but this is one of the most insane things. Look, they've got like these, I think those are steam or like pressure valves that they've turned into taillights. It's an actual boiler, like from a steam train or a steam tractor as the back. These massive smokestacks coming up the side. This thing is mildly terrifying. And look, his hula girl is a little out of practice, I think. It's got the aviation style aluminum seats that a lot of guys put in this. When we were having our Alpha done, they were building vehicles that had this sort of vibe to it. But that is insane. I can't imagine what this thing weighs. Like, look at the bumper, is giant links of chain with chain dragging down off the front. You'd think that's got to come up when he drives, because you wouldn't want to kick up a bunch of rocks with your chains. But the stuff that people, you know, when I go out in the garage, I'm tinkering on stuff. I can't imagine somebody out there is tinkering their garage and their wife is coming out going, "What are you doing?" He's, "Oh, I'm going to combine this steam engine with the truck." And then they do. Wild. Now, you can have a slightly newer car and still have fun with it. Like this Volkswagen. They've done the patina sort of finish to it. They've got a canoe on the roof. You know, they put like faux rust on it. I guess if you left your Volkswagen long enough, you might get your own natural rust, but it gives it very much that 1960s worn patina vibe, and they're not all expensive to buy. You can get a newer Volkswagen for not that much and go off and have fun. And hey, look, it's a Jason. Yeah. You caught me. Did you see that crazy truck over there?
I did not.
It's got the back end of a locomotive or a steam tractor on the back of it. You should go have a look at that. I am gonna go look at this bus, unless you want to come look at the bus with me first. Okay, yeah, I want to look at the bus too. It was so quiet when it rolled in, you could hardly hear it. So this is a 1958 GMC bus, and what somebody's done at some point is they've taken out the windows. You can see here they've put these plates over top, and it's probably been camperized at some point years ago. So that would have been windows all along there, along the top. And here's a picture of what it looked like. Yeah, it was an Edmonton Transit bus.
So those
originally. Served until 1978, was converted into an RV and ended up in Medicine Hat. Interesting. And I thought it might be Edmonton Transit because it had the orange and white two-tone on it. It looks like the interior still needs a little bit of going through. Looks like it's a work in progress, but you don't see these things running and driving that often. So the fact it pulled in under its own power is impressive enough. What would you do, Jason? Build a fort? Sure. I'd build a fort. I don't know what I'd do on the inside, but it would be cool. A part of me has thought about getting a bus like this as a project. What do you guys at home think? Should I buy an old bus and do something with it? Would that be fun? Would I get in trouble with my wife? More than I've already been in already? Who knows? But I feel like I need something like that in my life, maybe. It also kind of terrifies me, the thought of having to fix up something that big, but it's cool. Probably one of the most robust off-road vehicles ever made were these early Land Rovers and Range Rovers. Aluminum bodied, so you don't have to worry about rust. You can see this guy's got his sanded down. And there's, of course, no rust issues to worry about. But if you got the special edition models, you can get one that has the pop-top camper on top and go camping. Kind of like an old Volkswagen Westphalia, but the Land Rover version doesn't look as long as a Westphalia bed. But you can curl up and not have the lions chasing you, which is a bonus. When you're parked sort of by the year or age grouping, I don't know how this area is grouped, but they've got the old square body tow truck next to a Fiat 124 Spider. Fantastic little cars. Incidentally, if you ever want to get into a nice classic car, an MGB or Fiat Spider like this is a great way to have a very usable, fun vehicle. This has Pininfarina design. So you got that great Italian coachwork on it. They're not very expensive to buy. And I drove one of these exactly like this. Mine was red. I had it and I drove it year round. Excellent heater. Probably one of the best little cars for a classic car I've ever owned. And I don't have one anymore. But if I ever had to go back, I certainly would. Porsche is fantastic. Very clean looking car. Probably 98 or something like that. Oh, I see our friend Howard is over there from Howard's video with all his Rolls Royces. He's got a Bentley down here today. We'll walk over and say hi to Howard. And here's a British classic that you don't see every day. This is a Sunbeam Tiger. So Sunbeam made the Alpine, smaller, well, same body basically, but with its smaller engine. But if you bought the Tiger version, they crammed a Ford V8 under the hood. Kind of like a little mini version of an AC Cobra in a sense, except I believe that's a British-based Ford. But really rare vehicle, kind of undervalued. They're absolutely fantastic, fast little vehicle, and you just really never see them. So if you ever see a little Sunbeam like this that says Tiger on the side, you should know that it's got a little extra power under the hood. In fact, a lot of extra power under the hood. Look how they squish that in there. You talk about side-by-side comparison. So here you got a 68 Chevelle and right next to it a 1965 King Midget. Look at the size difference there. This King Midget is, I would say it's about the same size as a golf cart. And look at the tiny little wheels. What size are those? Probably like a 10-inch or something like that. Kind of like what you'd see on a lawn tractor, but what a cute little thing.
Or for the Rocky Mountain, well, you'll have to watch. Phillips.
Could you imagine? They've got their cooler in there with them, just enough room for a person. And yeah, little Wisconsin engine. It really is like a little high-speed lawn tractor of the day. Continental kit even on the back. Have you seen one before? Probably not. Don't think you'd see one very often. Kind of has a Jeep sort of look to it in a sense, but just such an odd little thing. Lotus came out with this car and the reviews were kind of mixed on the looks of it. The front end's quite sporty and nice and all that stuff, and it has a rear engine, closer to mid-engine actually, and because of that design, it has sort of the back end, looks almost like a station wagon or extended truck. These are, and I can't give you an idea of perspective. Well, maybe I'll show you with the lawn chair next to it. Can you tell how tiny this car is? It's absolutely minuscule. Friend Raymond drives one as his daily driver. He's been in a couple videos, or at least his car has anyway. I don't even fit. If you are like over 5'10", you probably have zero hope or very little hope of getting in a car like this. But it's unique styling you certainly aren't going to see every day. Volkswagen Club parked down here, and I have to say, if you have a classic Volkswagen bus like this, a Westphalia, these are like the ideal vehicle to have at a car show, because you could put the pop-up hut, you got a place to go hang out, you got a little kitchen table in there. It's like a little home away from home. In fact, when we took ours, we've taken our yellow one to a couple car shows, although ours isn't very fancy. It's just great having the extra space. I mean, look at the inside. These are like the best. I am missing that table though. I need to find one of those, the little swing away table. And my kids could sit there and play cards or a board game while we drive down the road. And oddly, I have that opening in my counter too, but I don't know what that is. What that little cover is. I'll have to come back and ask them, because this interior is set up exactly like mine, except there's a couple accessories I guess I need to find for mine. To come back and visit these guys later. Kind of like their tri-tone paint job they did, the green, the sort of off-white and the yellow. They've got a theme going on. Here are a couple of knockout cars here. This is a 1932 Packard. It's a roadster, side mount tires. Look at the size of the wheels on this thing. If you can tell, one of these wheels is, if you look at it from perspective wise, it's like half the size of this whole Volkswagen bus. Like if you stack two of those, you'd probably be as tall as the bus. Those are massive tires. Lovely wide white walls. Two-tone kind of pink and purple combination, which is unusual, but somehow kind of suits the car. Just beautiful. And he's got his covers on his headlights. I guess you don't get bugs on it. Gentleman's got his Dodge here, 32, same year as the Packard, getting it all shined up. Back in the era when cars were classy. And that is almost like a three-tone brown combination. Just admiring the shininess of your hood there. It's looking good. This is the interior. So cloth interior, very simple gauges. And in the back, see, classy little touches like that. You see he's got there's a flower vase mounted in the back. There's an ashtray back there. All the things a person of the time might need. And tons of legroom. Look at that. You got a lot of room for your feet, so the people in the back seat would be very comfortable, and even have freshly cut flowers you can enjoy on the ride. Normally at a car show you don't get this opportunity, but the gentleman is nice enough to let me actually climb inside. Ooh, look at this. Look at all the room. Hey, look at that. It's got a clock built right into the... It's a wind-up clock, and it works. And it works. See that? It's built right into the rear view mirror. There's a clock in the mirror. That's so cool. Yeah. That's got to be a rare option to find. Yeah. Wow, this is very plush in here, very cozy.
Yeah, she's a comfortable car to ride in.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's like sitting on a sofa.
You know, you can smoke your cigar because you got the ashtrays.
I see you got the ashtrays
the
here.
Open in the back.
So you could.
So you can talk to your neighbor.
I say, driver, turn here.
Poupon? Is it Poupon?
Gray Poupon?
Is it gray Poupon?
Yeah. If people are in, of all the poopy flavored mustards, that's probably the best. Hey, Richard, oh, fantastic. Of course, what car show wouldn't be complete without both a hearse and a DeLorean? Right? You need to have the combination here.
And they're husband and wife.
Are they husband and wife? Who? I wonder who got to drive which. The wife in the hearse, the husband in the DeLorean. Okay. Yeah, and these DeLoreans powered by a Renault V6, I believe. And pretty wild design. John DeLorean, I worked for, was it Chrysler Corporation? I can't recall exactly. Left to start this company. And well, what a story that was. With mild criminal elements, and he got caught smuggling drugs, I think it was. You got to watch the documentary on this car and all the problems it caused. That man had a very successful career in the auto industry, came out with a wild car, neat design. And unfortunately, they had a couple issues when they were new. One is occasionally you couldn't get out of the door, which people often like to get out of their cars, and the latches would fail. And the little Renault-sourced engine that they put back there just wasn't all that powerful. So they aren't a particularly fast car, but they sure are a looker. And of course, thanks to Back to the Future, it's an iconic car that's probably gonna be worth a pile of money forever, because why not? It's cool, it's 80s, it's got gull-wing doors, and it's stainless steel, so it's not gonna rust on you. And then his wife drove the hearse. And they've even got the casket in the back of it too. Well, you gotta have a sense of humor. I mean, I'm a guy who drove I drove an ambulance, and people would say, oh, I could never drive a hearse, but I could drive an ambulance. I said, wow, nobody's ever actively died in a hearse. That deal has been done. An ambulance, that's a different story. Of course, my friend Howard is here, and he brought this beautiful 53 Bentley R-Type down, which he drives that pretty regularly. You can tell from the bug guts on the front, he's got no issue driving it on the highways. And next to him is, in my opinion, very pretty, one of the prettiest looking cars designed is the Jag. I think it's an XK120 or 40, earlier style. Beautiful polished engine in here. I love that sort of buttery yellow color with the red two-tone interior. Nothing speaks to vintage style and class like an old Jag convertible like this. Now I've entered the Miata zone, which is where my son Steven would want to be. We of course had a first generation, we had a 92 Miata that we found in the basement of a building. Look at them all here, but I've not seen one like this. It's a Miata with a Simpson design kit on it, which gives it very much like a British sort of Lotus kind of look to it. You got the glass headlight covers. This would be basically like a total rebody of this car. Really hard to even tell what it is if you don't know. You can kind of see from the windscreen design how it comes up that yes, it's Miata. And when you look at the interior, they've even got like the Momo steering wheel, the Becker Europa style radio down there. So some nice elements and details to it to give it a different look, but it's certainly not something, I've never seen this particular type of kit on a Miata before. It's super cool. Oh, they're popping the hood. Let's see how Miata-y it is under the hood here. Oh man. Well, that's not your stock Miata engine, that's for sure. It's impressive that fits under the hood. My gosh. Speaking of Miatas, this was pretty wild when this pulled in. He's got all these sort of postage stamps all over it for the Isle of Man. He had some kind of custom built like pedal bike or something strapped to the roof of it, and he drove all the way down the highway like that. I mean, if I see him scooting around on it, I'll show you. But watching that come in was quite the spectacle. Well, seeing lots of things I'd never seen before. Custom one-off builds, show cars aplenty, rat rods, like this where he's got the cow horns right on the radiator. I'm gonna go back to my car for a little bit and then we'll do another walkabout. I've lost my son Jason somewhere amongst the activities here. Plus we got to do a tour of the museum, just right over there. Since I got here, my row has filled up a lot more. There's now a faded looking Cobra. Custom fade job, looks like an old race car. Factory 5 racing. My dad's dream car. He wanted a 289 Cobra really badly. He would have been pleased as punch to have something like that, I'm sure. Now, it's been a few years since I've been at the museum, and they always add some interesting displays on. Today it's extra busy because of the car show, but let's have a look about and see what's happening throughout and see if we can spot some of the vehicles that we've helped contribute to the museum. I know I have showed this once before on a video, but I always like having a look at it because it's so fascinating. What they did is they took this 1928 Dodge and they only restored half of it. So half of the car as it was found, probably in a field somewhere, but you go around to the other side and you notice a difference and you have the complete restored vehicle on this side. Really neat idea to restore half a car, and they even went to the efforts of restoring half the interior, so half the upholstery is done, everything to split right down the middle. I would almost have that, like, this is why I'm probably married, because I would do things like this, but I would have that like in my house as art. Anybody else think that's cool? I do. Now here's a big old Landaulet, I think that's what this is, limousine. It's a 1918 Winton Model 48, and it says that the museum themselves restored it back to its original appearance. They do have a full restoration facility here at the museum for maintaining and restoring these sort of vehicles. And what a ride that would have been. I wonder if the wind would have really caught that and tried to flip it back. I'd almost worry about driving down the road with that little baby bonnet buggy thing on the back, but maybe they never ran into that as an issue. Very pretty, very wild looking configuration. There's always lots to see here at the museum. So they kind of walk you through the evolution of cars. So you've got the evolution of horsepower. So 1 horsepower equals 165 pounds over 200 feet in a minute. So literally 1 horse. And there's your horseless carriages. 1908 Holzman Auto Buggy, 1901 Oldsmobile. And things progress very quickly. Such progress in the last 100 years when it comes to automobiles. But the style and the build and the way these cars are constructed is still so beautiful to look at even today. They've changed up some of the displays, and of course they've got many historical vehicles, including a Duesenberg on the other side. But I'm enamored with this Bronco, and with the sunset graphics down the side. I've always liked these, probably because I had Hot Wheel toys that were exactly like this, that were my favorites. And I was reminiscing with my son Jason. We bought a Bronco just like this. Didn't have the sunset graphics, but it had fog lamps on it. It was really cool. Paid $500 for it, and the tow truck driver bought it off me. Oh, in retrospect, I wish I would have kept it, but what a cool vehicle. We keep having a look around. See, they've got the Starsky and Hutch car over there, or a version of it. And here is their famed restoration shop where they can do everything from restore gas pumps, steam tractors, antique cars, and everything in between. They've got a nice selection of antique advertising signs up there too. Just nothing to sneeze at. But think of all the cars that have come and gone through here. Well, it certainly looks like a good turnout today. This is all a lineup just to get in the museum where we just were. We're gonna head back over to the car show and have another look around. So I feel like I've entered the realm of stuff I like. Mercedes SLs. In fact, there's a 2.3 16 valve Cosworth down there, which I had one identical to before. In fact, I thought that was my car, but look, there's a Maserati Merak. And I've never had one of these, always thought they were cool, but what this does have is the same engine that basically was in the Citroën SM that I had. That and this share the same sort of drivetrain, but this is a much sexier looking car in my mind. It's just such a nice, sleek style. And it'd be a different driving experience than the Citroën was because the engine's in the back. So probably handles a lot better. What a cool thing. I don't know whose this is. I've never seen it around before. But what a neat car. I hate to say it, part of me looks at these car shows as opportunities to meet the owners and say, hey, would you consider selling it? Because sometimes stuff pops out of these shows you've just never seen around town before. Way cool. Speaking of cars you don't see every day, this is a Messerschmitt. They went from building fighter airplanes in World War II, the Germans, to using their same dome technology from the cockpit of an airplane and making a tiny little car. Now, the reason they built small cars like this, or like the NSU Prince, or like the BMW Isetta, was because the tax on larger vehicles was very high, but this would have been classified more as a motorcycle as it's 3 wheels. So the Germans were being very crafty with coming up with cars you can maybe get yourself and a wife and kid in. albeit not very comfortable, and save some money on tax. So they had all sorts of funny little cars after the war, and this is one of them, but you really don't see these around. With that clear dome on top, you'd probably be baking pretty good after a while, and you'd really need those side little windows open, otherwise you'd be cooking, I imagine, pretty bad in there. Plexiglass roof, but amazing little vehicle. And look, it has like almost the steering wheel is like a tiller, like an airplane. It's like your own personal aircraft. It's so neat. And if you're a Mustang fan, you can't beat a GT 500 KR. Now, you see a lot of Mustangs at car shows, but you certainly don't see a lot of GT 500s. This one's got the Cobra Jet 428, Shelby graphics, and California plates on the front, blue plate. Really nice car.
US car.
And if you're gonna get one, this is the one you want to get. I've always thought these were cool. This is a Ford retractable, and what they did is they actually built a complete hardtop that would retract right into the trunk space. I'll go this way. There's people walking by. So instead of having a soft top that just went in, they built the trunk big enough. You've got your little storage compartment there that's safe. You can put luggage in, but this entire mechanism flips out and goes into the back. Now, newer convertibles do have folding retractable hardtops that come in different pieces, but this is basically your whole entire roof goes in the trunk. Pretty novel idea Ford came up with back in the 50s, and these are a fairly rare and desirable car. This one looks to be in really great shape. I love the sort of, it looks like a picnic basket inside there with that plaid kind of look. Oh, these 50s cars have that neat interior detail. But so cool to see one of these. You ever seen a car that does this, Jason?
I don't think so.
Yeah, the retractables are not something you see every day. So that's it. A really fun time with my son. Got to hang out with one of my kids today. A nice trip, and we're getting out of here just before a major thunderstorm is about to roll in, and as are a bunch of other people behind me too. But we almost made through the entire day. It was great fun. If you're ever out this way, definitely come check it out at the Reynolds Museum, and it happens every year, called the History Road Car Show. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's walkthrough, today's episode. Stay tuned for more. Subscribe if you haven't done that. You should do that, and we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.